Hello, welcome back to SCI Teach. This is specimen analysis for Agricultural Science Practical Waec 2025. So we'll be looking at the different specimens and analyze them one by one, compare them to be able to bring out questions that Waec will set, questions you'll be seeing in your exam hall, and how you would answer them to gain maximum marks. Okay? Remember to subscribe to this channel, like and share the videos to your friends and classmates so that as we are preparing, they are preparing also. Okay? So, specimen A is ammonium sulfate. So, you see a bag or whatever the ammonium sulfate is inside, and it will be labeled there ammonium sulfate. Specimen B is muriate of potash. It will be labeled there muriate of potash. Specimen C is cow dung. They can't label that now, so you will see shit cow dung. Okay. Then specimen D is compost. So that one will be labeled compost. Specimen E is cutlass. Specimen F is spade. Specimen G, wheelbarrow. Specimen H, yam beetle. Specimen I, cowpea weevil. And specimen J, Centrosema pubescens. Specimen K, speargrass. Specimen L, gizzard of a chicken. Specimen M, goat skin, okay, with the hairs intact. And then specimen N, horn, H-O-R-N. So those are the specimens. We're going to go in to analyze them one by one and compare the ones that can be compared, contrast them, and give you all the details you need to clear your exams. All right, let's go. So specimen A, sulfate, ammonium sulfate, sulfate of ammonia. Now, you know it's a compound fertilizer, okay? So you'll be having questions like, what's the chemical formula of ammonium sulfate, okay? You'll be asked different questions, conditions that would make a farmer use sulfate of ammonia, also inorganic fertilizers, other inorganic fertilizers that contain the same active ingredients as this compound fertilizer, and so many other questions. So let's try and attack it one by one and see. Okay, now the chemical formula for sulfate of ammonia, that's ammonium sulfate, is NH4,2SO4. okay, NH4,2SO4. And then the conditions that would make a farmer use ammonium sulfate is low soil fertility. The fertility is low, so he needs to increase it. Then you use that fertilizer. Or decrease in yield. You want to increase the yield because there is a decrease in yield. You want to increase it, so you use such fertilizer. Another condition that would make a farmer use sulfate of ammonia is when soil pH is high or when soil is alkaline. Okay, high pH shows alkalinity, low pH shows acidity. Also, leaching of the soil nutrients can make a farmer use sulfate of ammonia. And also erosion of topsoil, also specific nutrients requirements. You want to replenish, you want to add specific nutrients to the soil. Okay, then you target the nutrients that are provided by this fertilizer, and you will have need to use that fertilizer. And also depletion of soil nutrients as a result of continuous cropping. Okay, then other inorganic fertilizers that contain the same active ingredients as sulfate of ammonia is sodium nitrate, anhydrous ammonia, ammonium nitrate, diammonium phosphate, potassium nitrate, urea, ammonia liquor, calcium ammonium nitrate. All right. Then you may be asked, what are some tractor mounted implements that could be used to apply this sulfate of ammonia to the soil on a large scale? That would be fertilizer spreader, okay, and also disc plow, combine drill, and then boom sprayer, okay. Then you may also be asked to calculate amount of nitrogen in a bag. Maybe the bag you'll be shown in your exam, maybe 20 kg, maybe 50 kg, and you need to know the percentage of nitrogen found in sulfates of ammonia. Then you can then use the grammage of the bag grammage and calculate like this. If you know that sulfate of ammonia contains 20.6% nitrogen, then the amount of nitrogen in a 50 kg bag would be 20.6%, that's 20.6 over 100 times that 50 kg, which will give you 10.3 kg of nitrogen in 50 kg. So if your case is 10 kg, you just say 20.6 all over 100 times 10 kg, and you find your answer. But that 20.6% would have been given to you as a question. The question would have told you, like let's say, if the fertilizer contains 20.6% nitrogen, calculate the amount of nitrogen in the bag. Okay, so you look at the bag and see it's 50 kg. Okay, so if it contains 20.6%, so over 100 times it to 50 kg. And then they can go ahead and ask you questions like, if maize requires 250 kg of specimen A for per hectare of farmland, calculate the quantity of fertilizer required for the cultivation of 25 hectares of farmland, something like that. So they've given you something like 250 kg per hectare for 1 hectare. So for 25 hectares, what would you do? It's simple to calculate. So you just go ahead and go, if maize requires 250 kg of sulfate of ammonia per hectare, then 25 hectares will be 250 times 25, which is 6,250 kilograms. Now, since it's going to be already be labeled on the specimen, the name of that specimen, then they won't ask you to identify it. But if it's not labeled, it would ask you identify specimen A, and you say specimen A is ammonium sulfate. We call it sulfate of ammonia. Okay, and it's important to note that the main nutrient released by this ammonium sulfate is nitrogen. That's why we're calculating the amount of nitrogen needed. Then if you are asked, ammonium nitrate and also urea can be used as substitutes for ammonium sulfate. Okay, if you are asked what can be used in place of specimen A, which is ammonium sulfate, you can say, okay, we can use ammonium nitrate or we can use urea as substitute. Those ones have high ammonia and nitrogen content. Okay, so what can it do? We've already said that it can increase the acidity of the soil. Okay, now how about ways you can apply this fertilizer to the soil? So we can use band placement, ring method, broadcasting, foliar spraying, side dressing, top dressing, drilling. Okay, then about the examples of compound fertilizers that could be applied to soils apart from the sulfate of ammonia. Okay, that's ammonium sulfate. You can have ammonium phosphates, diammonium phosphate. You can have calcium ammonium nitrate. You can have calcium nitrate. You can have potassium phosphate. You can have sodium nitrates. You can have potassium sulfates, that's sulfate of potash, and we can have magnesium sulfate. Now, specimen B is muriates of potash. Muriates of potash. Now, muriate of potash is otherwise called potassium chloride. So, muriate means chloride. Okay, so muriate of potash is potassium chloride, the scientific name. Okay, it contains the chloride ions, the anion chloride form, and this chloride can affect plants. But how does it affect the plants? It affects plants primarily through increasing osmotic potential of the soil water. What I mean is that the chloride salts increase the soil salinity, which will interfere with the plant's ability to take up water. So if you are planting a chloride sensitive crop, then you don't need this kind of fertilizer. That you don't need muriate of potash. So I'm saying that muriate of potash, the chemical name is potassium chloride, and it's a compound which contains 50% potassium. It is the cheapest and most commonly used form of straight potassium. So look out for the characteristics of specimen A and B, because Waec will compare them. They will compare, because they are both fertilizers, they will compare them. Take for instance, you can be asked questions about their colors. What's the color of specimen A compared to specimen B? You can be asked to differentiate between specimen A and B. They may give you topics to use. You can say color, you can say texture, and all that. So you check the color you see. One can be brownish, the other is whitish. You state them clearly. So take note of everything that could be differences or similarities. Similarities could be that they are both fertilizers. Okay, now we move to specimen C, cow dung. Cow dung, you will see it there. Now what's the importance of cow dung to the soil? Cow dung adds nutrients to the soil. Also, it improves the soil structure. It improves the activities of soil microbes. It improves soil water holding capacity. It prevents rapid changes in temperature. It provides buffering effect on the soil pH. Improves soil aeration when it decomposes. Cow dung is also, this one is manure, but they can also try to compare it with fertilizers, or they're asking you the differences. Okay, think of what cow dung adds to the soil differently from what fertilizers do. Okay, so fertilizers target primarily some nutrients. So if this fertilizer is like NPK, only the nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus is what it adds to the soil. But manure could have more than that, and also helping in some other areas. So if it's fertilizers, they add primary nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium to the soil, and then improve the soil fertility. But it can also help in binding the particles of the soil together, can also improve the soil aeration and porosity, and can also improve the rate of water percolation in fine textured soils, can also improve the rate of water retention in coarse textured soils. Okay, can also increase the population of soil microbes, can also encourage microbial decomposition in the soil, and also addition of organic matter to the soil, and will generally increase the yield of crops. Okay, so there can be a little kind of comparison. You should know how to differentiate, how to know which one is which. And if you are asked for the color, you should know it's brownish, it's not reddish. It's brownish or maybe blackish in color, but what you see is what you report. Okay, so describe the animal in which specimen C is from. Okay, you know, if goats shit, you know how it looks like, small grains. So you can't go and say goats now. You know, it has to be cow dung, the way it's looking. If you're allowed to go close, you will see some particles of ground grass, see greenish color in it. You know, it's cow dung and all that. But there are different ways you can be able to identify each of these specimens and answer questions accurately. Okay, so we move to the next specimen, specimen D, compost. Okay, compost. Now, in this specimen, I will be discussing some methods of compost making. Okay, so there's a diagram on your screen, and it says the diagram shows methods of compost making. Study them and answer the questions that follows. And the question is, what methods are you seeing? Name the methods of compost making shown in A and B. That's the question. Now, you should know that A is pit method and B is stack or heap method. Then you may be asked also which of these pit method and stack or heap method is recommended for use in high rainfall areas. So that will be the second one, the stack or heap method of compost making. All right, and why? Because they will ask you, why do you say that is the one that should be used in high rainfall areas? So the reason is that loss of nutrients to rainwater using the stack or heap method in high rainfall areas is insignificant compared to similar losses associated with the pit method in such areas. Then what is the role of the materials in compost making? The role the different materials play. The urine in it is to moderate the pH of the compost. There is also animal dung in it, and that's to introduce bacteria for the decomposition of the compost, as it facilitates the decomposition process. That's the animal dung. Then the water in it provides a moist environment for the agents of decomposition like bacteria, microorganisms, and you can also say that it enhances the decomposition process. That's the water. So what are the materials? Urine, animal dung, and water. And we've said the different roles these different materials play in compost making. Now, what are the reasons for turning compost materials? Why do you need to turn them? Number one, to add air to the compost. That's for aerobic bacteria. That's to increase microbial activities. Also, to prevent the undesirable activities of anaerobic bacteria. And then also to ensure uniform decomposition of the compost materials. Also to make the environment moist for chemical activities on the materials on top. And also to speed up the decomposition process. And then to ensure a well prepared finished compost. All right. Now you may be asked about why is a tester used in compost making. A tester is used to confirm or test whether the compost materials are undergoing decomposition, and also to check or determine the pH of the compost and also to determine the level of decomposition of the compost. All right, that's what the tester is used for. Then what are the reasons why freshly prepared compost should not be applied to crops? Why can't you apply freshly prepared compost to crops? Because freshly prepared compost is still undergoing decomposition, which is accompanied by the release of heat, and this will burn the roots of growing crops. So you wait till the decomposition is complete and then you can apply it to crops. Take note of all these points. They're going to be very useful in your examination. Now they can also get creative and ask you questions like, describe the process involved in making compost using the pit method. Okay, they give you a particular method under the following headings, like discuss the materials, discuss the preparation, and discuss the storage. If so, then you have to get creative too. So you go materials, you list them out: straw, grass, weeds, sawdust, lawn chippings, bamboos, sticks. Okay, all this. Then you also use ash. You use biodegradable household refuse. Use crop residues, human wastes. Use animal dung. Okay, use farm wastes, farm wastewater. You can also use urine. You use old compost and add up. You can use lime, phosphorus fertilizer, sulfate of ammonia, tester, and then deep stick. All right, those are the materials. And then for the preparation, you dig pits. Remember, it's pit method we are dealing with now. You dig the pit to a convenient size, then put a big pebbles or stones or short poles. Okay, you put elephant grass at the bottom of the pit first, and then fill the pit with chippings, leaves, weeds, and other vegetable matter, and then most of them must be chopped up and mixed properly. Then spread on top of it evenly, spread urine, wood ash, and animal dung. Then sprinkle water and repeat the process until the level of the top of the pit is reached. Okay, then after one layer has been laid, sprinkle it lightly with lime and add handfuls of soil. All right, then repeat the sequence again and again to convenient height, and insert the tester to test for decomposition. All right, then under storage, you write protect protect it from rainfall to prevent loss of nutrients. So you store under a shade. You do all this under a shade. And then protect from direct ray of the sun, which may destroy the microbes and bake the material. All right, so you've discussed that method of compost making under the headings materials, preparation, and storage. Now we move to specimen E, cutlass. So we first have to be able to identify a cutlass. If they keep a cutlass there, you will know if it's a cutlass. You know a cutlass different from knife. You should be able to know that. So what are cutlasses used for? It's used for clearing and slashing bushes, used for light digging like transplanting, used for planting or sowing, is used for weeding, used for felling trees, used for pruning tree crops, used for digging holes for the fixing of fence poles, it's used for harvesting crops like coconuts, banana, pineapple, sugarcane, and others. Take note that specimen E, cutlass, may be compared with specimen F, spade. Okay, so spade is similar to shovel. So if you are gaining knowledge for spade, also you might want to gain knowledge for shovel, so that wherever the questions come from, you will not be short of ideas. So if you are comparing cutlass with spade, which is similar to shovel, you can be thinking of uses of shovel too, which is for transferring soil from one place to another, for harvesting of roots or tuber crops, for light weeding on the farm, for excavation or digging of the soil, for loading materials into wheelbarrow, which is another specimen. Okay, and then for making garden paths, for making mounds, heaps or ridges, for leveling the ground, for removing stones and rubbish, for mixing soil and cement together in constructing farm buildings. Okay, those are also uses of spade or shovel. All right, so let's describe that cutlass. All right, if you see a cutlass, how do you describe it? It's easy for you to say, okay, I know a cutlass. You see it, that's a cutlass. But they are asked to write it, describe it. So you can say it has a long and flat metal blade. On one edge of the metal blade is sharp, while the other edge is blunt, and it has a short wooden or rubber or metal handle at one end of the blade. Okay, we have described cutlass. Remember, we've said that they are used for, cutlass is used for weeding, for pruning, for clearing bush, okay, for cutting wood, for planting, for harvesting, for transplanting, for digging holes. So take note of all that. Then for specimen F, spade, you may be asked tools that can perform similar functions as that specimen F, spade. So you can say hoe can do the same thing, shovel can do the same thing, hand trowel can do the same thing. Okay, so you can list them out as tools that can perform similar functions. If you want to describe spade, you would go, it has a long wooden or metallic handle. The blade is metallic, like steel, and the blade is rectangular, flat, and sharp at one end for easy penetration into the soil. Okay, and then the handle widens at the posterior end to form a triangular block or a D shape for firm handling. So you've described spade. In case you're asked, describe specimen F, that's spade. You describe it that way. The other question that may come up is, what are the advantages of using farm tools for farm work? Because specimen E, F, and even specimen G, which we'll talk about now, are farm tools. Cutlass, spade. Why do we need to use farm tools for farm work? Number one, to minimize injury to the farmer. 2, to make work easier. 3, to enhance faster completion of operation, so it saves time. And then 4, it increases farmers' productivity. Then it enhances certain operations like budding. Also, it is not expensive to acquire, and they are sometimes the only way to get certain operations done on the farm. Okay, and it's easy to operate and requires no high technical know-how, and can be operated at all times, easy to maintain, and do not require any specialized sources of power to operate. Those are the advantages of using farm tools for farm work. So I was saying that spade is similar to shovel, so I gave you some description of shovel and the uses of shovel. But for spade directly, spade is used in turning soil, also used in digging soil for transplanting, used in mixing manure or spreading manure, used in making mounds or ridges or heaps or seed bed making, used in mixing cements, concrete for farm structures. Just so you see that just similar to shovel. Okay, used in mixing animal feed, used in removing animal waste, also to level soil surface, for mixing soils and fertilizers, and for harvesting crops, and for light weeding. Those are some of the uses of specimen F, spade, right? For lifting the soil, for turning soil, mixing cement and soil, leveling soil surface, digging holes when transplanting, ridging, weeding, all those. Can easily write that as uses for specimen F, which is spade. Okay, then you may be given a diagram, maybe asked to draw specimen F and label the parts. It's important to note that it has a wooden handle most times. Some are metallic, but it's clear which one it would be when you see it in your example. If you see one and it's wooden, draw it and then label that place as wooden handle. If your own is metallic in your own example, draw it and label metal handle. If it is not there at all, right there, label it wooden stroke metal handle. And then the blade has to be metal. The blade cannot be wooden. Okay, the blade is metallic. It's flatter than shovel, so don't go and draw shovel. Shovel is more like it has a bow, as if it's a basin. Okay, because that one is used to in packing sand. But spade, it does hard work. It digs into the ground more than shovel would, so it's sharp at the ends and it's not as a bowl like shovel is. So I'm saying when you draw, make sure you draw and label the wooden handle or the metallic handle, and also the metal blade, the blade, what is doing the work, what is excavating, what is meant to excavate. Write it there. Don't just write blade, write metallic blade, or write blade, metal blade. Okay, but in the handle, don't just write handle, write wooden stroke metal handle. That's why when they will know that you know what you are doing. And how do you maintain spade? Wash and dry after use, so clean after use. Replace worn out parts. Sharpen metal blades, okay? Then straighten bent metal blades. As you're hitting it in the ground, walking, the blade can bend. Straighten it back before you store it, and store it in a cool and dry place. Keep the wooden handles away from termites. They eat it up, you don't have what to hold. And then rub the metal parts with oil or grease to avoid rusting. All right, that's how to maintain specimen F. So we move to specimen G, which is wheelbarrow. Wheelbarrow is similar. It's still a tool. It's still a farm tool or implement. Okay, so what is wheelbarrow used for? For transporting farm inputs like seeds and seedlings, feeds, fertilizer from a farm. Also for transporting farm produce like the harvested crops and the animal produce. Also for carrying farm tools and working materials around a farm. And then for carrying farm refuse out of the farm. Now, what are the ways we can maintain wheelbarrow? Okay, so clean after use, wash and dry it. Okay, grease it, lubricate the wheel joints, tighten the bolts on wheels properly, replace the worn out parts, and store or keep it in a cool and dry place. Paint when necessary. Okay, so we move to the next specimen H, yam beetle. Yam beetle. It's important to note that yam beetle is a boring insect. Okay, it's a boring insect. How can we control yam beetle? Treat the yam sets, okay, the seeds, with appropriate insecticides. And then practice crop rotation, practice late planting, and then hand pick the yam beetles and destroy. So there are some ways you can control yam beetle. Remember to be able to draw. Okay, it's very important. See a yam beetle, draw it, label it well. Okay, we move to the next specimen I, cowpea weevil. So we can call cowpea beetle also, because another name for it is cowpea seed beetle. Okay, so the scientific name is Callosobruchus maculatus, and the class is Insecta. The order is Cleoptera, and the family is Chrysomelidae. Okay, it has a lifespan of about 10 to 14 days. So I've said already the common names are cowpea weevil, cowpea seed weevil, spotted cowpea brochid, Chinese brochid, Azuki bean beetle. Okay, because it's from the family Brochidae. So cowpea weevil, important pest of pulses. Okay, you know pulses include bean, pea, etc. Okay, now infestation commonly begins in the field where the eggs are laid on maturing pods. So as the pods dry, the pest ability to infest will decrease. So dry seeds stored in their pods are resistant to attack. That's what it means. Whereas the threshed seeds are susceptible to attack throughout the storage. So infestation may start in the pods before harvest and carry over into storage, where the substantial losses would occur. Okay, so levels of infestation in storage are strongly influenced by the type of storage structure that is used. Okay, storage structures that maintain high level of moisture in seeds are more prone to high levels of infestation. Okay, so the value of dried pulses is strongly affected by levels of brood attack. Okay, so like I've earlier mentioned, cowpea weevil are major pests of cowpeas, pigeon peas, soybean, green yam, and lentils. How would you know? What are the symptoms? So in the early stages of the attack, the only symptoms that are present will be the eggs glued to the surface of the pulses. And most times they are not normally seen, but they can be detected after pupation. So after pupation, the adults will emerge, okay, leaving round holes in the grain that are the main evidence of damage. So it's the round holes that are the main evidence of damage. So it affects seeds. I guess you're asked, what are the parts of the plants or parts of plants that specimen eye affects? It affects the seeds. All right. In case you're further asked questions about the eggs and the larvae, all those pupation steps, the eggs are small, like 0.75 millimeter long. They are clear, shiny, and smooth, and oval or spindle shaped. Okay, they are firmly glued to the surface of the pods and pulses. So if the pods have opened, eggs are laid directly onto the seeds. Okay, so we say eggs are small, smooth, and have domed structures like oval, flat bases. So when newly laid, they are translucent gray. The eggshells are white and clearly visible to the naked eye. Okay, now the eggs hatch within 5 to 6 days of oviposition. Then the larvae are whitish and somewhat C-shaped with small heads. So upon hatching, they bite through the base of the eggs and bore into the seeds, where they spend the whole life cycle feeding on the seed. Okay, the larva pupates inside the seed. That's what we're saying. And pupation takes place in a chamber just under the testa of the seed. And pupation takes about 7 days to complete. The adult beetles, that's the adult cowpea weevil, are small, about 2 to 3 millimeters long, and somewhat teardrop and slightly elongate. And then they are pale to reddish brown with black and gray patches and 2 black spots near the middle of the wing cases. Okay, the posterior part of the abdomen is not covered by the wing cases. So they do not feed on stored produce. They are very short-lived. Usually they do not live longer than 12 days. So during this time, the females lay up to 115 eggs. And the optimum temperature for egg laying is about 30 to 35 degrees Celsius. We said the whole life cycle takes about 4 to 5 weeks. Okay, so take note of all those information, as they will be very useful in your exam hall. So we move to the next specimen J, Centrosema pubescens. They can in short call it Centro or just Centrosema. These are the common names, but the botanical name is Centrosema pubescens. Okay. Now the method of propagation for Centrosema pubescens is seeds. Seed is what is used for propagation. And then the characteristics of Centrosema is number one, it's a vigorous and aggressive growing legume. Okay? And then number two, it is a creeping and twining plant. So it creeps and twines. It has trifoliate leaves attached to the stem by pulvinus. Okay, it's leafy, perennial, and shade tolerant. It's drought resistant and highly nodulated, so it contains bacteria in the nodules, and then it's highly palatable and very nutritious. Those are the characteristics of Centrosema pubescens. And because of that, you have to think of the management practices carried out on a pasture. Okay, you have application of fertilizers, reseeding, and then rotational grazing, padlocking, removal of weeds, disease control, pest control, controlled stocking irrigation, cultivation of aggressive pasture species, controlled burning, liming of acid soils, and cutting at intervals, plow back. Those are management practices carried out on a pasture. Now we move to the next specimen K, which is speargrass. Okay, speargrass, the botanical name is Imperiata cylindrica. That's speargrass. And speargrass is very difficult to control. Why? Because it has an underground stem rhizome that produces new shoots from its auxiliary. It also has the ability to produce both roots and new shoots from each node, and it is propagated by stolon, and it is aggressive. So that's why those are the reasons why it may be difficult for a farmer to control speargrass. How about the economic importance of speargrass? It is regarded as a weed. Okay, remember, economic importance is both the bad effect and the good effect. Okay, speargrass is regarded as a weed. Its removal increases cost of production. Okay, that's another economic importance. Also, it reduces quality of crops. It will be fighting with the crops for nutrients. And then it reduces quantity, the yield of crops, and also harbors crop pests and diseases. Those are the economic importance of speargrass, and they are asked in the exam. That's what you should write. We've already said that the botanical name is Imperiata cylindrica, right? And we have given reasons why they are difficult to control, because it has aggressive growth habits. It has underground stem stolon, which produces new shoots even after burning, and its resistance to drought and difficult to uproot because of underground stem. And can you give a picture of it? Can you draw what you see? If you want to draw grass, how it should look like. All right, so you should be able to draw. Maybe sometimes in your exam paper is drawn and you are asked to identify, or parts are labeled and you are asked to supply the names or the labels of those parts. So the method of dispersal of the weeds is of specimen K, speargrass, that's Imperiata cylindrica, is wind. Okay, and then why I can come up with a different way of asking the same question I've talked about already. They can say reasons why specimen K is difficult to eradicate on the farm. You say it has the ability to produce both roots and new shoots from each node, and it's buried underground, making it difficult to uproot. And then resistant to drought, survive in dry areas, resistant to burning, has stolons which produce new shoots after cutting, and it can withstand trampling. Trample on it, it can still survive. So you'll be asking yourself, how then can a farmer control this kind of weed? So generally, physical methods by which a farmer could control the growth of these weeds: you can slash or mow it. You can pull it with his hands, okay, uproot them by himself. You can use hoe, and you can use plowing, and then harrowing. These are the different methods a farmer could control the growth of speargrass and the other weed. Now we move to specimen L, gizzard of a chicken. Gizzard. So you already hear gizzard is from a chicken. So you'll be asked what animal can you find specimen L? Poultry and others, but chicken is poultry, so it's one of them. If you are given parts to label, maybe they draw it and give you parts and say label of animal digestive system that carries specimen L, gizzard, then you should be able to label as shown on your screen. Okay, the part labeled I is the crop, the part labeled II is the glandular stomach, and then the part labeled III is where we call the gizzard, and the IV is the pancreas. Okay, but if you are not given something like this, then you may be asked to explain some features of gizzard that you are seeing in your exam hall, and some other things like the functions of gizzard. So gizzard is used for grinding of feed into a thick paste through the contraction of the muscular walls. It's also used in mixing of ingesta. So we are saying it's used for churning of food and also for grinding food. Okay, so it's used for the temporary storage of food also. So in summary, I'm saying the functions of gizzard is that it helps in grinding of feed, it moistens feed, it mixes or churns the feed, and stores the feed. And what's the feature of this gizzard that enables it to perform its functions? So it has a thick muscular wall. Okay, thick muscular wall. That's for the churning. All right, and then the presence of stones or gritties or gastroliths or pebbles, it helps to churn the food properly. And then the tough or rough lining, the coiling layer, also helps in churning and grinding the feed. Now we move to specimen M, goat skin. Could be cattle skin, could be any skin. Okay, so what is the skin used for in animals? Generally, to prevent entry into body. That's dangerous substance entering into the body. Also, mechanical protection of the body, protection of the body from irradiation, that's sun rays. Also involved in the thermoregulation, and then enables animals to have sensation of touch, pain, heat or cold, that's response to stimuli. And then it secretes oil that lubricates the skin. Okay, it has vitamin D's. It produces vitamin D's with the aid of sunlight, and it also helps in storage of excess fats, in promotion of milk since the udder is modified skin. Also secretion of sweat, that is excretion. Those are the features or the uses, or why they are important, of skin, goat skin or any cattle skin. So they can also get creative and ask you specimen M in combination with specimen N, which is horn. Okay, so they can combine the question and say identify specimens M and N together. It says specimen M is goat skin. If you smell goat skin, you should know. So if you smell it and it smells cow skin, you can't write goat skin except you have been told. Okay, so if you smell it, you touch it, you see the color, you see everything, you would know if it's goat skin or not. Okay, and then you say specimen N is horn. You can say animal horn because you don't know what animal it's from except you are told, or it's with the head. Okay, so now you may be asked, what are the farm animals which do not possess animal horn? Give examples of farm animals that do not possess animal horn. You go poultry, swine, that's pig, rabbit, guinea pig, donkey, horse, and camel. And then you ask, what are the farm animals in which both sexes possess specimen N, which is horn? And those are cattle and goats. That's why it's goat skin we use. It can be asked, together. And then what if you ask, what are the farm animals in which only one sex of the species possess horn? That is sheep. Okay, all right. And then maybe ask the functions of animal horn and functions of animal skin together, or not together, but anyhow, Functions of animal horn is for defense, also for attack, that's offense, also for scratching the body. They bend their head and use the horn to scratch their back or any part of the body. Also, it enhances the appearance of an animal that possesses it. And then how about the goat skin? What are the functions of animal skin generally? It manufactures vitamin D with the aid of sunlight. It stores reserved food like fat under the skin. It's used for protection of the body against heat, harsh weather, so it's just insulation. Also for temperature regulation of the body, for excretion through sweating and response to environmental stimulus, and then milk secretion through the mammary gland. Now, what are the problems a farmer may encounter in the management of animals which possesses horn? Okay, number one, problems of space when transporting these animals. Okay, and then animal may injure the owner or with the horns, and then animal may injure one another with the horns. An animal may use horns to destroy buildings and other farm structures. Animals also with horns bully their young ones and those without horns, and it requires larger housing space and more pens species. So horn is used for decoration. Horn can be used to make fertilizer because they are rich in calcium and phosphorus. They can be used for livestock feed, and then the animal also use the horns for fighting, defense if you want. Okay, that is that for Agric 2025. We've analyzed all the specimens and compared the ones we should compare. We've asked questions. You've seen an example of some questions that are going to be very important in your exams. You're going to still have to study your notebook, study your textbook, study everything that has these practical specimens and know everything surrounding it. We might not have touched 100% of the questions here because it's just under 1 hour video, but still use this. You gain knowledge from here and then add to the ones you will read from your textbooks and notebooks and wherever. So we've analyzed all the specimens. Specimen A, ammonium sulfate. Specimen B, muriate of potash. Specimen C, cow dung. Specimen D, compost. Specimen E, cutlass. Specimen F, spade. Specimen G, wheelbarrow. Specimen H, yam beetle. Specimen I, cowpea weevil. Specimen J, Centrosema pubescens. Specimen K, speargrass. Specimen L, gizzard of chicken. Specimen M, goat skin. And specimen N, horn, animal horn. Remember to subscribe to this channel, share the video, like them, share it to your friends and classmates that are writing exams so that as you are preparing, they are preparing also. If you have any question or you need help in your academics, we are always here to supply the help you need. Just DM me with the number displayed on your screen right now and I will be at your service. We have a classroom where we teach people and prepare them for exams, whether it's PJAM or NECO or Waec, any exam. And the classroom is not free. Feel free to join by sending me a message on the number displayed on your screen. Remember again to subscribe to this channel. Just hit the subscription button and share the videos to your friends. Everybody writing exams, let them prepare and ace their exams. Thanks for watching. God bless you.